All right, this is day two of using this thing as a funny thing. All right, let's go. And yeah, welcome to another episode on A Podcast. Your host Stephen Maxted, and we have Dave Ternier with Country of the Week with us today. And just a little context here: me and Dave met not on a biking trail, but with a good mutual friend of ours around cycling, and that's we often actually discuss that. And then we got reconnected again with someone else I had on the podcast, and being very Winnipeg or Manitoba game of intermingling of people. It was kind of funny at first. I'm like, who's this Dave guy?
Yeah.
And then we get on the phone, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, of course, this is where things are at. And then we got talking about what you're doing now, even though you are still involved in some things biking related, but I was very interested in what um, you're doing. And welcome to the show, Dave. Let's talk about Country of the Week throughout the episode. But why don't you tell the listener a little bit about yourself before we get into that?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on, Stephen. This is super fun. Yeah, we did meet through bikes, didn't we? Fat biking too, for those who are
Yeah.
with that season. Yeah, it was just I was out on the fat bike quick this morning, but yeah, a little bit about me. Yeah, married for, I don't know, 14, 15, 16 years, somewhere in there. 2009. A couple of kids, live with my wife in Winnipeg. We're both actually from Saskatchewan originally. I'm not sure if that's ever come up from our previous conversations, but
I don't know either.
yeah, both my wife and I are farm kids from Saskatchewan, and yeah, live in Manitoba now. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this province. Been here for 15 years now. Yeah, 15 years.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been
Fantastic.
good.
Wonderful. Hey, where are you guys from in Saskatchewan?
The Battlefords is home, so we're both farm
Cool.
kids, north and south of the Battlefords.
You know what? I think maybe you had mentioned that one time. That could be a whole other tangent. I just know a bunch of
Could be
farm
a whole
people, folks, farmers and folks in ag out there. So we won't even dive. We won't open that can of worms today.
Right, for sure, yeah.
Yeah. Although I was debating, and I opened up with that kind of in our dialogue here, because now that I've done this podcast around like businesses with people, I'm like, oh, other ideas and stuff. And I think
Right.
there could be a podcast out there actually about how people know each other in Manitoba, and like, but put like two randoms on, and then just be like, okay, discover how you're connected,
Interesting. Yeah.
and see how long it takes, kind of thing. But yeah, anyways, I digress.
All good.
And so, and I do, as the listener probably knows if they've been on a couple of these, and if you don't know, I'm running their own research and have the other screen here with the website. So if my eyes are over here, it's just to reference this
Yeah.
as live research on the site. And you have such a great picture on here. You have a world map. You looking lovingly at one of your daughters. I can't remember names and who's who in this one.
Yeah.
They look almost similar in age. I know that they're different. And it looks like you're going through, a scenario that Country of the Week would go through, and it's just a very telling picture. But why don't we elaborate off that and tell us a little bit about what got you started in this with Country of the Week? And yeah.
Like I started with, oh man, how this project started, and that's a key word. It's just a project.
Yep.
Got started because the well-known, positive, and upbeat Dave that most of my circle, family, friends, colleagues know me for, started sliding off the rails back in 2016, 17, and I was like, there was something in the state of the world, especially specifically here in North America, where the headlines had just taken on a different tone, and there was some frustration with me. I was like, this is not feeding me. Yeah, it's not feeding me and my family in the way that I want. If our two girls at the time were 5 and 6 years old, and my thought was, look, if they take their baseline understanding of the world based on what the headlines are communicating right now, they're going to think that planet Earth is going to hell in a handbasket. Everybody hates each other. And what is there to live? And I was like, you know what? Yes, the news of the world is going to hit them at some point, but maybe I can preempt that by providing with them a baseline understanding of curiosity about the world, knowing that the world is a fascinating place, help them understand that despite what the headlines are telling you about a certain place, there are really cool things there, people, animal, places, whatever the case may be. So I said to my wife, I said, I think I'm going to teach our girls a little something about every country in the world 1 week at a time. And she was kind of like, okay, Dave, smile and nod, right? Because these ideas, right? Because as I always say, ideas are cheap and easy. Execution is everything, right? So, and neither her or I knew what the execution level on this was going to be like. But to dial it back real quick, one thing that I've always been fascinated with is world maps. I in my early 20s, I'm a single guy. I don't know why, but I ended up splurging and spent like $230 on a National Geographic atlas. So it's, this big book that's, I don't know, 2 feet tall by foot, right? And slips into the sleeve. And I love flipping through that thing. And then shortly after that, I ended up, I owned a house in North Battleford, and I wanted to know what was the biggest world map I could possibly get to put on my wall in my dining room. So I bought this world map. Again, single guy, right? Early 20s. I bought this world map that was a full 8 feet high by 12 feet wide.
Cool.
And it came shipped in like 3 big strips. And I sent them away to Saskatoon, had them professionally laminated, and then carefully mounted them on this wall. And this world map became the conversation topic for everybody that popped in, right? All of a sudden, the news made a little more sense because you could like visually place that place. Yeah. So fast forward to 2016, 2017, we had, albeit a much smaller, but when we moved to Manitoba, we did put up another world map in our house there. We didn't.
Is that the one that we see?
It is the one that you see.
Awesome. Sorry.
Yeah, we couldn't get an 8 foot by 12 foot wide one for the house. We didn't have a space, but that one was, I don't know, like 6 feet by 4 feet or something like that. So it became the focal point of this Country of the Week project that I started, which, as referenced in the previous word, it was just an in-home project. That's all it was ever meant to be. And then things just happened.
Totally. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so with that initial goal of teaching, from what I heard you say there, your girls about a country a week. Yeah. So the way I'm looking at that is, if that's a year-long project, that's 52 countries. I don't know, and I'm not putting you on the spot here, I don't know how many countries are in the world today, but I don't know how many years it would take to do that. But I'm sure I know it's not done in 1 year.
No.
And there's a lot for us to know. And I think something that's on my mind before we go back to you here and I want to talk more, but I think you couldn't be more right about headlines and that timing. I know I did some solo travel, late 20s. I had some different unique like jobs career-wise where things are going well. And a lot of my friends were just settling down, having kids, and no one was really like down to like go do my travel that I wanted to. And I'd go just hop on a plane and go places when like I had pockets of time, and my job was flexible enough to do that. But I know on those trips specifically, I'm always being very social and meeting people. But on those ones, I got to meet a lot more folks, it seemed. Just you're solo traveling, got really comfortable with it. But I met a lot of people from around the world, and one of them happened to be right before, kind of like the shutdown and stuff in 2020. I was in Costa Rica, and I stayed in touch. I mean, I've been staying in touch with a lot of folks that I've met over the years doing this.
Right.
But in that particular case, you could tell based on headlines versus accuracy, without getting too in the weeds on that topic. But it was interesting to talk with someone from Italy. Mateus was a guy that was from Nice I met, and headline versus what his thought was, like very different. And it was very interesting to, that's one specific instance, but I'm sure we'll dive in more about how like that reflects different things. Maybe not as extreme headlines, but like other things that you hear and see, and you either see the really good or the really negative. You don't see the real feel, because there's people that they're just like, here, like something that pops up on the Winnipeg news doesn't represent the whole city.
Well, and I'm gonna do something that I didn't expect I would do for a quick minute, and I am gonna say, in defense of the headlines, there is this human condition that is attracted to bad news. So
100%.
I certainly don't want this to become a, bash the media type of thing, as I know that's a popular narrative these days. And for,
For sure.
by and large, it's a misguided narrative, I believe. But humans are just drawn to bad news. It sucks, but it's obviously a survival instinct thing, right? That we need to know if there's a cougar
Totally.
around the corner, because if we don't
Yes.
know, we might die. So we're
Yep.
hardwired in some sense for that. But to your end of meeting people, kind of where they're at. One of my favorite
Yeah.
quotes of all time comes from Mark Twain, and it reads, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime." So you know firsthand what that quote is about. And
Totally.
for my girls and I mean, my wife and I and our kids, we do like to travel. It's obviously not something that happens every 2 months. But I said, how can I virtually travel us from home? And so that's what Country of the Week became. And to your question about how many countries are there, yeah. I didn't know how this project was going to go, so I didn't really, I guess, maybe fully think about that statement ahead of time. Nor did
No, that's okay. Yeah.
nor did I realize, nor I'm sure do you, that that's actually a bit of a political question,
Oh.
because there are some nations in the world which do strive to be recognized but are not.
Oh.
So for those listening who are curious, what is the answer? The answer through the lens of Country of the Week is 200, and here's how we arrive at that number. There are 193 members of the United Nations, so that's 193. There are two non-member observer states. That's a special status the UN has for them. That's for the state of Palestine and for the Vatican City, or the Holy See. So that gets us up to 195. Then there are the Cook Islands and the country of Niue. They are not technically independent nations, but are classified as highly autonomous regions of New Zealand. So they, for lack of a better description, they function entirely as their own democracy. So that gets us to 197. Now we have 3 more to go to 200. How did I do that? Well, I did that by taking 1 away and adding 4.
Sure. Well, we're not in math class, so it's fine. Yeah.
And the explanation behind that is the United Kingdom is a member of the United Nations, but of course the United Kingdom is 4 countries. It is England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales. So out of that 197 that we're up to, I removed United Kingdom and then added in those 4. That got us to 200.
That makes sense.
Because I wanted to treat those 4 nations within the scope of this project as independent nations. So yeah, again, it's not math class, but 200, one country a week is a 4-year project.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I actually thought I had no idea. I was like, I don't know if this is going to be, that's my team ignorance. It's been a while since I've looked at a globe, and I don't have a map to your scale to reference on the daily. I have, and a really good point that you went back and, just mentioned that about the news. I just happen to have a very quick off the top of my head. It's not to knock anyone in that space. And I totally agree. We are totally instinct driven on that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all about that's what we go for. It makes sense. That's their business. And that's what's going to help them sell stuff, and helping people be aware of different things on that end. But I think it does need to be filtered a little bit more. We need to have more of a holistic, slow down look at things.
It does.
Quick
shout out to Jonathan Cranston.
You want me to Google someone?
I think that was his name. I think that was his name. What was he originally from, the Office, that show? I can't remember. Anyway, early on in the pandemic, he actually created a YouTube news platform called Some Good News, where all it did great news. And it was fantastic. And you know what, folks? It no longer exists. So what does that tell you about the human condition?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like one of those things, anyway. We get this a little bit on the MERS side too. People say that on one thing, but they naturally go and do another. Like if
Yeah.
we were to make our sweaters all like here 100%, they would
Right.
cost a lot more, and
Yeah.
we can't. It simply just doesn't make sense. One of those funny things. But
Yeah.
um, so what was like what was the starting point after saying, hey,
Okay.
like I'm gonna do this, and then now we
Yeah.
have a website. So the in between part, what happened?
Yeah.
You start off,
That's a good
yeah.
question. So what happened was this. I basically researched. So I said, okay, let's do this. So I researched a country. The first country in the program is France. So I researched France and I created a full color country profile sheet. So something that was bright and vibrant, a couple of photos, some basic facts, just some stuff to engage the kids. And it was printed on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, stuck up on the wall beside the world map. And for the following week, that country was simply a theme. So we'd find that country on
Right.
the map, and then, and over the course of the week that followed, we would do our best over breakfast or a meal or whatever to jump on YouTube and just find videos of people exploring something, anything in that country
Cool.
that our girls connected with. And I need to underline that statement because there are far too many videos on YouTube of, and God, I hope I don't offend anybody here, but where the tone and narrative goes something like this. Oh my God, you guys. So I'm here at the Eiffel Tower. You've got to check this place out. It's this over the top.
Right.
I don't even know how to describe it, but my kids have zero patience for it. They want to see somebody who authentically connects with the camera, tells a great story, somebody that pulls them along for an adventure in a way that they think is fun and cool. So it became an interesting
That was the
exercise.
target.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it became an interesting exercise of finding a video, trying it out, and the girls going, Dad, or this was good. And
Cool.
and yeah, we would do that for the week. So, an example of a country profile sheet, would look like this. I've got a few of them here. So I would create these country profile sheets. So this is for
Cool.
Ottoman and Principe. And yeah, it just Azerbaijan. So it would have, some
Yeah.
basic
What do we have on there?
some basic facts along here. So the
Oh,
official
cool.
country, the continent. This one's an interesting one though, because this is one of only a few transcontinental countries.
Interesting.
The capital city and their population at the time of production. And then,
Okay.
yeah, so then
I didn't.
a big
Yeah, I
photo.
didn't. This is cool. Sorry, I'm jacked up about this. I'm like interrupting you. This is so
Okay.
cool.
So,
Yeah.
this, so here, let's share a quick fact about
Amazing.
Azerbaijan with people. So that photo, there's
Oh.
obviously some fire burning there. Here, let's just use this as a teaching tool.
Yeah, yeah.
Known as the Burning Mountain, Yaner Dag is a natural gas fire which blazes continuously and has done so for decades.
Oh man. So
Because
it's burning springs.
Yeah, exactly, because gas is
Oh.
escaping underneath. So
Hmm.
yeah, so there you go.
Jeez.
Fact about Azerbaijan. So yeah, I this became a thing, and to illustrate that, I will simply say the first country sheet was put up on the wall on a Monday morning. And then a week later, on the Monday morning when the girls woke up, they woke up, went to the dining room, saw a new country sheet. This kept happening. And then I missed a week. Holy God, did I hear about it? The girls were like, Dad, it's Monday morning. Where's our country? And that happened a couple of times. And it dawned on me that this had really become a thing with our kids. This wasn't anything that was going to be stopping anytime soon because this became a part of their routine now. And so, yeah, what followed was this adventure where I started having to think more long term about things and go, oh, okay, well, wait a second. I now have to make sure that from week to week that we're going around the world in an appropriate fashion. And what I mean by that is we'll have to go to Africa more frequently than we're going to South America because there are 54 countries. Exactly. There are 54 countries in Africa and a lot fewer in South America. So I need to do this in a proportionally representative way where, when we're halfway through this program, we've done about half of South America and about half of Europe and about half of Asia, right? So all of a sudden I had to start thinking longer term about this. And I was like, okay, I can't just pick any random country to do next. I need to actually figure this out. So that's when I had to figure out, okay, how many countries are there? What's my and then I need to start to figure out, what is the order of this going to look like? And yeah, and things kind of went from there. And then I guess in order to engage them a little bit more, I started creating activity sheets to go along with the countries as well. So at the start, it was just basic crossword puzzles and word searches.
Yeah.
So the crossword puzzles would simply, you know, all the information would come from the country profile sheet, right? So it was pretty easy, but it would allow them a moment to just kind of log that information one more time, maybe commit a little bit of it to memory.
Right.
But I have to be clear about one thing, and this is a pretty critical thing for anybody thinking, holy God, dad of the year guy, all this work, like I couldn't do all that with my kids every week. Here's the thing. There have been many light weeks. Some weeks we dive deep and we're watching 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 videos and they're half an hour long. But other weeks, you know what? Life takes over. And you know what? We found Singapore on the world map and we know where Singapore is. And we're going to celebrate that. And we're going to move on, because knowing that this was such a broad project over 4 years, like we can't get hung up on ourselves. We can't consider ourselves a failure or crap, we're running behind because we didn't do what we were supposed to do. No, there's none of that exists here. It's
Right.
It's a bit of a choose your own adventure. Here's what my girls and I did, but what you do is up to you. And
That is so important. Cool.
yeah, and as people go through the program on the website, they will notice some weeks where I only recommend 1 video, maybe 2, because that's all we got to. And a part of me felt guilty for doing that at first, because I'm like, people are paying for this program, I should put more here. But I on purposely didn't, because I wanted people to see that, look, you may have light weeks, and I'm here to demonstrate to you actually that that's perfectly okay.
Totally. Well, you know what? It was funny because you're totally beat my brain where that was going there, and maybe listener was thinking the same thing too. Be like, man, like, what if there's a week, you have a wedding, family event,
You're gone
whatever,
on holidays. You're gone away.
holidays. Yeah, you're at the place. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like what happens with that routine? Because for the friends with kids out there that I don't have any kids, but I have friends that do, and I know how important a routine is, and I could definitely see how you have something like this in front of them, and then they become very attached to it, almost not that you didn't intend on it being that serious, but you're like, oh, this is like they're the one driving the this to kind of happen, which is really neat to hear.
Well, and I must say, there, of course, is the entire range of families who now do this. There are families who, plenty of light weeks, right? They just look, if all you do is print out your Syria country profile sheet and throw it on the map, perfect. Because a lot of adults in the world haven't even heard of the country Niue or whatever, right? So even if your kids familiar with that name, great. So that's on one end of the spectrum where, there's lots of light weeks and that's fine. And then there's the other end of the spectrum. I have an incredible family who are over 150 weeks into the program. They're in Australia, and I remember them even sending me a photo of them doing Country of the Week while they were on holidays in the Seychelles.
Wow.
So they were
really cool.
2,000, 3,000, 4,000 kilometers from home, and they were still doing Country of the Week. I remember seeing a picture of actually, I don't remember if it was this family or another family, but I got a picture from one of the moms one time, and she sent me a picture of her kids watching this video while they were sitting in an airport waiting. And her comment was, everybody probably thinks, look at this parent, just letting their kids watch videos nonstop, movies and whatever. They're not even on the plane yet. But she's like, isn't it funny that they're actually doing Country of the Week? So there's all ranges of the spectrum. There's no right way. It is the right way, however you choose to do it.
Yeah.
We simply plant the seeds every week. That's all. You decide how big it grows.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Well, I mean, and you've seen it happen within your own household, and you have other families that are doing this, that you said, that are 150 weeks in.
Yeah. In fact, I just
wow.
Just the other day, actually, another family. Actually, sorry, in the last 2 weeks, two other families have just crossed the 150 week mark as well. So I actually just I've blanked out their last names here, but I actually just prepared 150 countries for their kids, because
man, you're doing a killer job with this. That's awesome.
Yeah. So in the list, this is every 50 countries I produce certificates for the parents to give to their children. So, in this one here, that's all 150 countries they will have done at this point, written up there.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is fantastic. You really
Yes.
got like a proof of concept going here because you have people around the world doing this now. And so, how many people are current? And I mean, like, who's a good fit? We were talking about this before. I'm kind of teeing up with this one, but like, who's the fit for this? I think there's a few different scenarios where folks could use this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for the majority, the people that use Country of the Week identify as one of three categories, although there is a one more category, which I can mention as well. I mean, for the most part, it's a family at home just wanting a fun program to do with their kids,
Mhm.
or it's a teacher running this in their classroom, gives them a fun prompt to help expand their students to the world, a little more globally than maybe whatever the curriculum indicates. And then there's also homeschooling families who have really
Right.
taken to this. In fact, I have a blog post article on the website, which is a whole article that a family out in Alberta wrote about their experience with Country of the Week, and it's really remarkable. If anybody takes a moment to read it, it's just it blew my mind, actually, the role that Country of the Week was playing in their household. So for the most part, those are the three categories, but there's a point one, so 3.1, and I say the point one is just really curious adults. I have a few people who,
Hey, I was gonna say, okay, cool. I'm
yeah,
glad that was that because I was like, I bet you there's some people that just want to know more, and
yeah, yeah,
huh,
absolutely, yeah. I have some people who they're just like, you know what, Dave, this is just a fun way, particularly through the pandemic when
yeah,
travel has been restricted so much. I remember getting a few emails, Dave, this is just a really fun way for me to get out around the world while I wait to be able to do it again. Or in another case, she's an older lady, retired, at home, probably
yeah,
won't do a lot more traveling. This is her
right.
weekly escape. So,
That is so sweet.
yeah, yeah.
That is very cool. And this is of course, obviously that's like through the website, it's online.
Mm.
Is there like how much time per day would this really take for someone to take on? Like you said, there's different weeks with different like whatever they kind of want to
Yeah.
turn
I
it
mean,
into, but
if people want to know, hey, Dave, what would be a reasonable expectation?
yeah,
I mean, look, I would say 15 to 30 minutes a week.
a week.
A
That's
week.
it.
Yeah,
That's
I
great.
mean, look, just literally over breakfast one day or over dinner one night.
Yeah,
In fact, a lot of the families that do use Country of the Week, they will facilitate it around one meal per week,
very
right?
cool.
So during family dinner Friday night or Sunday night or Wednesday night, whatever, they will have Country of the Week up. Maybe they will have taken, maybe they will have even gone so far as to cook something from that country for that
Just
meal.
thinking that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or,
Yeah.
they'll look up a playlist on Spotify or, Apple Music with music that is traditional to that country to play over dinner, right? There's just so many different ways. You know, uh, uh,
Yeah.
or or maybe they'll have a movie night that's themed around that country. I mean, for the country of Uganda, there's an incredible movie about this girl that goes on to win a chess championship from Uganda. So there are just,
Right.
I mean, I haven't been able to find them all just yet. It's kind of one of my ongoing tasks is even
For
finding
sure.
movies that would represent a country
Right.
well that you can watch that week,
Huh.
right? There's so many possible angles to this, and
Totally.
yeah, it's been so much fun, and I mean, we maybe shouldn't go on without me just speaking quickly about the impact this has had on our daughters. I mean, their curiosity for the world is off the charts. I recently put up a reel on the Country of the Week Instagram account, kind of making fun of this a little bit, and that is their bucket list is going to bankrupt me. The number of places they now want to go that,
Yeah.
I mean, would they have ever wanted to go? Probably not. I mean, our oldest Kiana, she really wants to go to the country of Niue, which is like population 1,600 people. It's a little island country. Marika, our youngest, is just dying to go to Uganda because she wants to go trek with mountain gorillas. I
Sick.
mean, this would never have happened
Right.
had we not done this. And the impact that it has had on them is something that's going to last for the rest of their lives, because they won't go through life not knowing about Singapore or not knowing about, all of these incredible countries, whether they're in Eastern Europe or, the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, it's not 2023 right now. I don't know if you knew that, but they are 7 years behind because they run on a completely different calendar. So when you book travel to Ethiopia, it's an interesting thing if you're going to book with hotels and this type of thing, because so my kids know about
Wow.
this type of stuff now. They have this wider appreciation of the world that many people our age, you and I, Stephen, could use
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
We didn't get when
Well,
we
definitely. I didn't know that. I learned a couple of things on this call. Maybe some of it I knew before. I mean, I was kind of like just like popping off my head to not look up how many countries there were in the world
Yeah,
before. And I
yeah.
bet you that number right there surprised some people. I was actually thinking it was
Probably did.
more. I had
It
no
probably
idea
did,
though.
yeah. And I mean, that
So
number does shift and change every now and then. I mean,
yeah,
Sudan, used to just be the country of Sudan, but now there is Sudan and there's South Sudan. That change happened in our lifetime. So
interesting.
yeah, there will be a constant evolution to keeping this kind of updated
Totally.
to
Yeah.
current political situations and what have you. So
Yeah, no kidding.
yeah.
No, I think that's so neat. So you get this global reach, you have people using it. There are some that are much further along
Yep.
than others. And how are you getting, I guess, like how are you meeting people, or how are people finding you, I guess, too, to start this program, or what does that usually look like for them?
Yeah, I mean, Phoebe and her family, they found out about Country of the Week because she was like, "Hey, I think I want to teach my kids about all the other countries in the world." So she Googled it and she found the
Right.
website. Like, oh my God, somebody's already done this. I don't have to build it. Thank heaven. uh,
Right.
Other people hear about it through word of mouth, which is, what I
Yeah,
think becomes the most valuable driver of this.
totally.
When they're visiting their friend's house, they see this world map up on the wall and they see this country profile sheet and they go, "What's that?"
Right.
And then through social media and social media has been probably the smallest component so far. The majority of people have found out about it just through it being shared, other people telling other people saying,
Totally.
"Hey, this is really cool. Look at this dad who's trying to, multiply the impact he's had on his kids by many more kids of their generation. Let's become a part of this. Let's have some positive impact on the world." So
Cool.
that's generally how most people are finding out about it. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I was thinking that was probably, it'll be through other people doing it. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know exactly what numbers are out for you, but I'm sure at some point this thing really starts to snowball. Maybe you're already feeling that level of detail that you got on those sheets. It does kind of remind me of looking back in my mind of like a textbook I probably would have had when I was a kid, kind of in like
Right.
in a class. Like I don't know that for sure that it actually even looked
Yeah.
like that. I can kind of see the reflection on the website here, what those pages kind of look like in a binders here. And I just think that is really neat that you have binder. There you go. Book 3. Oh, cool. There's different books that you guys have on this stuff.
Yeah. So, we encourage people to, once they've kind of done their country, to put them in here. And, the number of times that
Fantastic.
my girls have just sat flipping through this and challenging each other to find all the countries on the map is super fun.
No
And,
kidding.
sometimes when people come over, it'll be a bragging point that, they can find the first 50 countries in this binder on the world map. And you see the adults going, I mean, I didn't even know, Comoros was a country. I didn't even know. I'd heard of Moldova, but had no idea where it was. Could never have found it, So yeah, it's super fun. So I basically all the print materials are downloadable from the website in the specific points in the program. So that way people can download this, print it out, put it into a binder that they pick up locally. And that goes the same for all of the activity sheets and everything too. So, the activity sheets vary from country to country. It was
Yeah.
based on whatever I was inspired to create. Although in the next few months, I will be doing a process where I'm going back through all the countries and building more activity sheets now to create more consistency throughout. But,
Sure.
some examples, would be, I mean, here's a math themed sheet. So often called the eighth wonder of the world, these rice terraces were largely built
Oh,
by hand So if you were to take all these rice terraces, place them end to end, it would stretch for 20,000 kilometers. How long is that? Well, your answer is hidden below. So they have to figure out these multiplication.
Oh, things out to figure out how many, what letter and stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, neat.
And so, this would be equivalent to hand digging a trench halfway around the world, is how long these rice terraces are. So I just try to create, I have a background in entertainment. So I try to create some puzzles where the
Cool.
reveal has enough of a wow factor,
Right.
right, that it keeps them wanting to do the next one, and so on and so forth. So here's such a word study, sheet. Oh yeah, this is my oldest daughter. She's very consistent how she organizes everything. So she's got all her word study ones together. She's got all of her coded letter ones together. Mazes, crossword puzzles. There are some connect the dot puzzles, all this type of stuff. So
Damn.
yeah.
Dave. I mean, I feel like we just touched the top of the iceberg from our last combo, and I can already tell like there's definitely more that you've done here. But it's interesting that I think it's something I mentioned before, and it's worth saying about again. But this is such a cool resource for families, as you mentioned. Maybe it's like within or I think we were partway through discussing that, but like either within a school system that already exists, people can use this course to help, um, you know, be a
Yeah.
great addition to what they're already teaching and use some of your resources, or homeschool, or what was the other one, I guess, or just kind of like added info, on top of their program outside of the school system,
Yeah.
or someone who's older. I think it's so neat to see this be so flexible. I said at one point when we were kind of living a little bit of a quieter life with in that time in the last couple of years, and I remember saying to a buddy of mine who was a teacher though, um, I was, we were, and I, like I said, I don't think repeating from a conversation, but I was like, have you ever thought about going online? Because if someone can really, make the best program out there, there's just no reason.
Mhm.
Um, we'll keep you humble. We'll stay your top three, but and there's probably other people doing this too, which is wonderful because your program will hit home with some people, and other programs will hit home,
Yeah.
better with others. And I just think this is really incredible, though, because this could really help elevate the game um, out there. I mean, I'm
Well,
not in whatever grade this stuff maybe even taught in, but I don't remember learning about
yeah.
every country in the world. Um,
Well, and I mean, I will concede it's a monumental task to take on. I get that. And like I said, that's why I really wanted to underline earlier. Look, if all you do is
totally.
print the sheet this week or for the next 3 weeks, that's
Yeah.
fine. But we are the world has become so connected in an oddly disconnected way, but connected,
Yeah.
that news travels around the world faster than ever before. And there is this sense out there that things are worse off than they've ever been before. And while recognizing the struggles and hardships that many communities currently face, the reality is that couldn't be further from the truth. The world
Yeah.
is, by and large, in a better place than it was 50 years ago, 100 years ago,
Right.
300 years ago. And I just and like I say that acknowledging fully there are many communities out there who are still fighting the fight, and we need to support
Totally.
those communities. But I want to remind people that there's just an endless stream of incredible sites and people and experiences out there in the world. And through this program, my family and those that this program has impacted have become more empathetic people to the plight of all around the world, and to many of the global issues that of course are also sometimes hard to see from the address or postal code or zip code that we individually live in.
Yeah.
um, and I think, yeah, I think we're at a time right now where, because the world is so connected, it is actually incumbent on us to learn more about the world so that we can fully contextualize all of the stuff that's coming at us from 100 different directions every day.
Totally. The marketing is pretty heavy on that end of things, like from the outside in, and there's a lot of countries, are not getting you know,
Yeah,
given the background on it a little bit more focus. But I
yeah.
mean, in general, this is, and I mean, I'm sure that there is, as I mentioned, um, more. How long does it take for someone to like get going on the course? Like, let's say they do want to sign up, and
Yeah,
reach out to you? What does that process look like for that individual or family or whoever?
that's a really, really good question. So how it simply works is, I mean, it's free for everybody. Everybody jumps in, and it's free for a month on a monthly or an annual subscription. So
Oh,
jump in and try it. It doesn't cost you anything. Um, but how it starts out is when you sign up, you are prompted to get a couple of things. Get yourself a binder. Go and buy a world map somewhere. I offer some link recommendations. Some people simply use a globe because they already had one.
yeah,
There's no set recipe for that. And then there are some materials that they can print out and use to prime their family for the adventure that's about to come. And then their first country opens up automatically 1 week after they join. So 1 week after they join, they'll get an email, and the email has a few teasers about what their country is, and then it's got a link and it says, let's go and explore country of the week #1. They click on the link and it takes them to the website where they can discover country #1. So every week, like they'll see when they log in, there's a whole bunch of different thumbnails. Those thumbnails are not clickable until they unlock. So every week, the next thumbnail unlocks, and an accompanying email comes out. So,
cool.
I've written, many, many emails. There's an teaser email for every country that gets sent out when that country unlocks for the person. It includes a few little details about the country, allowing the parent to maybe guess or try to figure out what it is. Because I wanted to build some reveal, again, my entertainment background, right? Don't just
Right.
tell people, hey, click here to go to Syria, click here to go to no, your country this week has this, has this, and has this. Any ideas? No, maybe. Click here, let's find out. Why not make it fun for the parents too?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's basically
Yep.
how it works at its very core. But like I said, everybody can just try it out. It's free for 30
Yeah.
days. And I don't try to trick people in. You will get, a number of emails making sure if you want to cancel, this is how you do it. It's so
Awesome.
risk free, as they say today.
No, that's great, but you're right. There is a lot of things where you get like, the 14-day trial or whatever, but it's actually you're like kind of in there already or whatever. No, I
Yeah.
think that's great. That's an easy way for folks to get in, try it out, and I guess. Oh, pardon me, David. What's kind of next on the calendar for you guys? Are you guys going to any events and showcasing this product, or I don't even know how to say it because it's kind of both. You're offering a service, but you're giving lots of stuff for the folks to print off and use. So it's kind of almost like physical stuff with the service along with it.
With the digital, yeah. You know what? I'm going through a period right now where I'm looking to connect with, a few people who maybe already have audiences in a similar space. The homeschooling space is one where there seem to be a lot of audiences already built. So that is a space that, I'm spending a lot of time focusing on right now. Plans are in the works right now to have Country of the Week featured in a homeschooling conference in February. So I think that'll be really great to just kind of get this to a wider audience, because
Yep.
in my prior life I worked in the wedding industry, and that was a high dollar, low volume business,
Yeah.
whereas this one, of course, is a low dollar, high
I
volume.
vote.
So it's a complete opposite from what I'm used to, communicating to the world. So I won't sugarcoat it and say there has been a bit of a learning curve there, which I have not
Yeah.
yet mastered. But that's kind of where the focuses are right now, and where people can find me coming soon. So
That's awesome. Okay, so we got that. And then how do folks, I mean, we kind of listed off here, it's countryoftheweek.world is the website for you
correct.
guys. And you mentioned other social medias. I mean, obviously website is a good homepage for it. And we'll include that in the write-up on our end here
Yeah.
and stuff. But what social media platforms are you guys on for
Yeah,
this?
so Facebook and Instagram is where you can find. There's plenty of content there as well. Like if you just want to jump on and follow one of those pages, there's lots of what country am I content, that type of thing. So there's lots of fun stuff just to engage with there. But if people want, they can also just jump onto the website and subscribe to our free newsletter once a month. Miranda, actually, who is one of Country of the Week families, she's out in Alberta. She actually manages the newsletter side of things for Country of the Week. She
Oh, that's
kind
awesome.
of responded to an appeal. I was like, look, does anybody want to help out with this, a little project of mine, which, has not yet become a big, big thing. And so yeah, so if people want to sign up, they can join the free newsletter. They get a newsletter once a month with some really great content in it. And if anybody has any questions, reach out on any of the mediums, either through the contact form on the website or message through the socials, whatever the case may be.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so great. Dave, this has been awesome. I feel like there was so much more to probably unpack, but this has been a great having you on here. So I'm excited for version 2.0 already on this. I've said this before that we're going to go and come around and have folks on again. And I am, truly excited about seeing where you're at on 2.0 of us. So thank you so much, Dave, for being on this morning here. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. And I'm excited to get this out.
Awesome. It was really great to chat with you, Stephen. Thank you for giving this little project of ours some airtime on the incredible platform that you've created. So thanks so much.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks, Dave.
Cheers.